Happy lunch hour, guys. Well, like I said in the title, let the games begin. Uh, it gets real interesting with everything that's going on. Now the world's antenna are up about this whole monkeypox deal. And the rhetoric that is coming out is worrisome at best, I guess, because the blame game has started. Where did it originate? I mean, we haven't seen cases of monkeypox in the civilized world, let's put it this way, since the 70s. And all of a sudden, we have cases in 14 different countries as of today. And like I said this morning, you've even got Belgium that's, now having to quarantine a couple of people. So, Julie sent me an email this morning about a article she found about the European CDC saying that the monkeypox virus had escaped from a U.S. biolab in Ukraine. So wonderful. So now we have the Europeans blaming the United States. Okay. So I wanted to go look up confirmation of this. Oh, that was a rabbit hole to go down. You find one article or whatever, or a similar article on multiple pages, all quoting the same source, and that's not exactly what I'd call confirmation. So I went in here, and of course, this is something that originally came out from a gentleman by the name of Dr. Benjamin Braddock, and apparently he is some hoity-toity, Twitterati personality or whatever that does a lot of investigation into medical health, that sort of stuff. Okay, I looked him up, LinkedIn page and everything. The guy seems relatively legit. Who knows? I mean, Fauci seems relatively legit too until you listen to the guy talk. Not saying the same about Braddock. I just don't know him. Okay, I'm just kind of giving you the basis on the source here. So I went and I looked a little further. All right. And of course, then I find something out of the National Pulse. Okay. And what does the National Pulse say? Well, that the U.S. is saying, headline here, again, I'll link all these articles. The infamous Wuhan lab let's try that again. The infamous Wuhan lab recently assembled monkeypox strains using methods flagged for creating contagious pathogens. Oh, okay. So now we're going to have studies in the United States that are going to blame China. Okay. So let's keep digging here and go a little bit further. What do we hear out of WION, which is a respected, at least I respect them, and I think a lot of other people do too, Indian news agency. Okay. They've got a story where they interviewed an ex-Soviet scientist claiming that Russia was planning on using monkeypox as a biological weapon. So we still have to see who China's going to blame on all of this. But the Europeans are blaming the Americans are blaming the Chinese, the Indians are blaming the Russians. What's next? Okay, the Brazilians are going to blame the Martians. I mean, for all you know. But this is where we get into the problem that comes about with all of this. There's so many conspiracy theories, I guess, if you will. Everybody's pointing the finger at somebody else, which seems to be the way things work in the 21st century. Nobody ever admits their mistakes. Nobody ever says, hey, we screwed up, it's our fault. Okay? At least government-wise. I mean, individuals, you and me, hey, if we screw up, we screw up, okay? take your medicine and, move on. But no, there's always got to be somebody to blame. You know, the screw up in the U.S. economy, that's not Biden's fault. That's Putin's fault. Got to blame him, because Putin has so much control over the U.S. economy. But pick something, I mean, everything, we got to blame racism or whatever. But not getting into all of that. I told you guys the other day about the one progressive radio show host, and she said she's not going to scoff at what conspiracy theorists talk about anymore because a lot of times they're right. I don't know, okay? I'm not going to come out and speculate that this was out of a U.S. biolab, out of a Chinese biolab, out of a Russian scientific project, whatever it would be. The thing is this, and obviously I don't have my intelligence sources, if you will, that I did when I was in the Army. So, I mean, I'm looking at a lot of the same stuff that you guys are and trying to analyze it. Okay, so I don't have the intel. I've got to go off of what's made public. But my bullshit meter is still pretty strong, okay? Now I look at this, and of anything, if you want to talk about what you would think the most qualified story here is the European CDC. Okay, there's actually a governmental somehow agency coming up and saying this. Here's the problem. According to the intel we know about, there were no level 4 biolabs in Ukraine. There were level 3. Level 4 would have to have a strain of monkeypox. So that kind of blows the theory out there, unless, which is very possible, don't get me wrong, unless the U.S. government lied to the world about what was going on in Ukraine, which at that point, everything we've heard for months and months and months and months about Putin wanting to destroy U.S. biolabs in Ukraine, there might be some truth to that. So you see how some of this stuff starts fishtailing itself together. Now, go into anything more. What do the Indians have to gain, if you will, out of talking about the Russians? Well, India's not exactly friendly with China. India's trying to get a little bit more friendly with Russia, so this one doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. Why would the Indians start accusing, or at least talking about the Russians when they're trying to align themselves with Russia? So that might bring that part down. And then, of course, you have the whole China story out of Wuhan. Okay? I can't find any reason to debunk that. Okay, again, this is my personal opinion analyzing this. And we already know the National Institute of Health and all its lovely members who we know well, Fauci, Stein, and all of them, have been less than forthcoming about their involvement in some of this stuff. So then you get the other part of it. Now, I don't know what the gestation period is for monkeypox by any means. But remember, a lot of the conversation around the Olympics were, interesting. We have all these people coming in from all over the world to Beijing. Better place to do it. The Shanghai lockdowns. China's not exactly forthcoming about telling us what was going on. I mean, we had heard some of the stuff about hemorrhagic fever. They're blaming COVID, yada, yada, yada. There's all sorts of outbreaks going on in North Korea. Strong China, China's pretty much North Korea's almost only ally, other than Iran. Okay. Wonder what's going on there. Not exactly another forthcoming regime in North Korea telling us what's going on. So this is worth watching to see what's going on. Again, this could totally be happenstance. that all of a sudden there was some guy that went down to Africa and got it from monkeys, where monkeypox obviously comes from. You know, I'm not saying any of the real sick stuff, but close contact with monkeys or whatever. All right, that'll do it. And maybe that's how it was spread. But it's very interesting when you start thinking about last week, the U.S. government suddenly purchased a whole bunch of monkeypox vaccines. There's less than 100 cases in the world right now as of today. All right. Can you think of any other disease, communicable disease, that countries were spending hundreds of millions of dollars on for vaccine with less than 100 cases? Not even in recent history was it considered, if you know what I mean. Okay. Pay close attention to this. Again, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, any country of it. I don't know. But it's very funny that the talking heads, the political talking heads, the governments, are now starting to point the finger at everybody else. Eventually that's going to piss somebody off, and there'll be all sorts of, we didn't do it. I mean, remember the whole last scenario, blaming China, blaming the United States, whatever it was, Fort Beavers. And we still haven't got to the bottom of that one. What's it going to take to get to the bottom of this one? And what's it mean for us going further? Watch closely, because all our friends in high places sure seem to have called this one a couple of years ago, didn't they? I wonder who's going to be the one making the money off of this one. Know what I mean? Pinball out.